In this video, we are going to recap the futures markets. It is Monday, July the 1st, 2024. Before I get into the video, guys, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And guys, if you are interested, please make sure to use the affiliate links in the description box below. Those really help me out. If you want to support me, support this channel in a big way, using those affiliate links is the way to do it. Okay, guys, with that being said, in today's video, I'm first going to start out with a recap of my Apex 300K challenge. So today, I got a little bit overzealous, and although I still have a positive balance on the account, yeah, I blew it out. I blew it out on this crude oil move, and this is something that we're going to talk about, guys. I blew out on a crude oil move, so I reset the account for $38. Not really a big deal. It is what it is, guys. The reason why I use Apex Trader Funding at this current time is because it is pretty cheap, and it allows me to trade on a simulated account for not so much money. I'm not really, guys, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not terribly concerned whether I pass the account or not. I do work. I contract. I've got other things I'm doing. And, of course, I make these YouTube videos. So with that being said, if I blow out an account, I blow out an account. I'm really just looking to have a cheap option that I can trade with. But let's recap the mistake, guys. So what was the mistake here? Well, I over-leveraged coming in on the crude oil, and then I got impatient. The market ultimately did pretty much come back. It would have been a small loss on the day, frankly, and I'm really anxious to pass the account. So I just, you know, what should have happened is I should have just allowed myself to close out for a loss. There were many points where, you know, I could have just taken a small loss on the trade, or a relatively small loss. I didn't do that because I want to pass this challenge. You know, the Apex challenge is $20,000 with a $7,500 drawdown. It's a fairly difficult challenge. I mean, all of the prop firm challenges are pretty difficult. And so what I would say, guys, I've tried FTMO, I've tried Apex, I've tried Top Step, and Apex is probably the easiest to pass. But with that being said, guys, you still got to make $20,000 on the 300K account. So still not the easiest thing in the world to do. And I allowed the crude oil position to run against me too much. So number one, what did I do? I over leveraged. I went in with 5 contracts. Maybe I should have gone in with 3 contracts initially. Number two, I added on to a loser, which, you know, frankly, I do way too much. It's one of the bad habits that I have, is I add on to a losing trade. So I added on to a loser here, and then number 3, I added on again to a loser, and then number 4, the market, it really did end up coming back towards the end of the day, and I tend to hold these positions not long enough, guys. One of my mistakes in trading is I don't really hold on to positions long enough. Usually, like, just on average, I probably should just increase my average hold time. So the market ended really, you know, in that last hour came back enough to where I would have been at a small loss. So I over leveraged, I added on to a loser, and I'm not even gonna say I over leveraged, but I added on to a loser, and I didn't allow the market to run far enough against me. So with that being said, guys, I reset the account for $38. I'll live. Okay, and that's why I'm on a prop account. That's why I'm on a sim account to begin with. Y'all should know that I'm not trading real cash right now, guys. I'm trading using Apex Trader Funding. I've traded using other prop accounts before as well. It's a lot cheaper than trading your own cash. Okay, guys. With that being said, I want to start this recap video on something other than the news. I want to start out here on the charts and then head over to some of our big headlines on the day. So the runtime of this video should be about 10 minutes. Okay, guys, so coming in, natural gas futures have been pretty beat up. Our latest headline on natural gas reads, 2 hours ago, nat gas prices pressured by cooler U.S. weather forecast. So taking a look at our daily chart, guys, natural gas futures just coming down in a big way. They're down 4.73% on the day. Guys, just so you know, here on the Bollinger Bands, I have, okay, let me make sure that I have the default set to 3. So guys, I've got a Bollinger Bands here set to 3 standard deviations. And as you can see, guys, we're approaching that 3rd standard deviation. We're well below that 20 period simple moving average here on the daily chart. Our prior 1, 2, 3, we're on the 5th day down on natural gas. So natural gas looking pretty beat up. And guys, honestly, it's looking like there might be a buying opportunity coming up here on natural gas if we continue to get beat up to the downside. Now let's talk about our greatest gainer on the day, and that's going to be Bitcoin futures, guys. Bitcoin futures final print at 63,695. That's up 33.70. That's up 5.59% on the day. So you can see, guys, yes, Friday's candle was a down candle. Now popping up with an up candle that's closing above the prior 4 candles. We are still trading below that 20-period simple moving average, but we might have had somewhat of a recovery. In addition to that, guys, if we're looking just here at the chart, you can see we did not run that prior low. So we had a prior low from Wednesday, the 1st of May, 2024. That low came in at 57,945. As you can see, guys, we got close, but we did not run that low. So with that being said, we're looking here at basically a trading range right now. I would call this a detrending or a trading range market. Okay, as you can see here in the rectangle. Okay, guys, I want to get into the next item on the day, guys, and that's going to be crude oil. So crude oil is unfortunately what I blew out my sim account on today, and hey, I'll be honest, every time I blow out an account, I might blow out 100 accounts, guys. I might blow out 1,000 accounts. As long as I'm trading on Apex and it's pretty cheap, it really doesn't matter. Of course, I do want to pass the account. That being said, of course, I want to pass. But I'm not. But there's a reason why I'm trading cheap prop firm accounts. There's a reason. Okay, so with that being said, guys, crude oil at $83.38. That is up 2.26% on the day. Currently moving above our prior high that we made on Wednesday, the 29th of May. Now we also grabbed above that Friday, the 26th of April high. So as you can see here, we pretty much paired that high, but we traded a little bit higher. So on a daily perspective, guys, crude oil currently running higher. Let's go down to the hourly chart. Crude oil coming in, hit that 3rd standard deviation Bollinger Band earlier in the day, which is why I took a short in the first place. Of course, it kept running higher than that, which, sometimes that is what happens. But we ran on that 3rd standard deviation Bollinger Band. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight hours in a row of crude oil trading higher. So let me see if I can get some news on this, guys. Crude oil headlines. Oil futures post solid gains on variety of factors, guys. This is from Dow Jones Newswires. Oil futures post solid gains on variety of factors. That's from Market Talk. Concerns that increased confrontation between Israel and Hezbollah could drag other countries into the conflict. Expectations of strong summertime demand and early signs of a busy Atlantic hurricane season come together to push crude oil prices higher at the start of the 3rd quarter. The market is also paying attention to the decline in the number of rigs drilling for oil in the United States, which could eventually lead to lower production. West Texas Intermediate, that's WTI, rises 2.3% to $83.38 a barrel. That's 83.38 a barrel. Its highest settlement level since late April. And Brent advances 1.9% to $86.62 a barrel. So, guys, there are fundamental factors that worked against my crude oil short today. And what I should have done is I should have reviewed my headlines a little bit more. I probably should have reviewed the fundamentals a little bit more, traded a little bit smaller size, not added on to a loser. There are factors that are pushing crude oil prices higher right now. We basically didn't have any sort of retracement today. That's higher temperatures, lower rig count, that sort of thing, guys. So fundamental factors pushing crude oil higher at the moment, as you read there. So with that being said, guys, wasn't my best trade. It was not a good trade. Should not have taken it. But I'm glad that I did it on an Apex account rather than a cash account, or even, frankly, a Top Step account, which is 3 times more expensive. Okay, that is our news headlines on crude oil, guys. Let's take a look now at our daily chart on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ final print here at 20,042.50. That is up 0.63%, 124 points, 124 3/4 points. That's about 125 points on the day. Latest headlines read, Apple, Tesla, lift stocks to higher close in light pre-holiday trading. Wall Street set for higher open with focus on jobs data. That is 8 hours ago from Reuters. So those are our 2 headlines here on the NASDAQ. From a technical perspective, looking at the daily chart, we traded and closed into the body of Friday's candle, trading above that 20-period simple moving average. Looks like we might run potentially on Thursday, the 20th of June's high, make a new all-time high. Can't say that with certainty yet. Let's go have a look at the ES. ES on a daily chart, guys. We are up 12.25 points on the day. That's 0.22%. Final print here on the chart at 55.32 evens, guys. So basically a spinning top candle, indecisive day, trading range day, light trading volume as we come into the July 4th Independence Day holiday. So as you read in some of these articles, pretty light volume trading right now. 1 hour ago from Reuters, world stocks U.S. yields gain after French election results. Let's have a look at this. This is from Reuters. World stocks U.S. yields gain after French election results. Wall Street indexes finish higher. Europe stocks at 0.32%. Oil prices 2% to two-month high. We saw that earlier. U.S. dollar safe haven gold advance. And investors await Fed June meeting minutes and non-farm payroll data. Global stocks edged higher in choppy trading on Monday, while U.S. Treasury yields rose following France's historical elections and ahead of a string of economic data this week that could provide clues on the likelihood of the Federal Reserve interest rate cut. Let's go down to the Wall Street section here. Choppy session. Guys, it goes on to read, on Wall Street, all three major indexes finished higher in a choppy session led by gains in technology, consumer discretionary, and financial stocks. Materials, industrials, and real estate equities were the biggest losers. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.13% to 39,169.52. S&P 500 gained 0.27%. The Nasdaq Composite gained 0.83%. Oil prices rose 2% to a two-month high on hopes of rising demand during the Northern Hemisphere's summer driving season and worries that conflict in the Middle East could spread and reduce global oil supplies. Okay, guys, and that's our news on the ES. Let's have a look now at the Euro futures. Okay, guys, Euro futures, from a technical perspective, we can see that we reached an intraday high of 1.08155. We closed at 1.07795, and that was down quite a bit. So looking at our hourly chart, guys, we rose in the overnight session, and then we had a big move down here on the U.S. stock market open. So a little bit of a choppy trading here on the Euro futures. We did end up overall 0.15%, but we were much higher earlier in the session. So Euro futures went up, and then they paired some of those gains. Looking at some of our Forex news, let's see if we have any Forex news. Wall Street Journal, dollar index rises 0.08%. It's from Data Talk. Euro USD squanders most gains as yields bolster dollar. The dollar rose against most majors on Monday and paired its losses sharply versus the euro as Treasury yields extended a rise that has accelerated since last week's U.S. presidential debate. The dollar's recovery powered through an ISM manufacturing report that showed unexpectedly weak PMI and a chunky drop in prices paid, though new orders showed improvement. Since President Joe Biden's poor showing in last week's debate, markets have been forced to consider the policy mix, including trade and fiscal, that could result from a potential victory by Donald Trump. Okay, guys, so basically what we're seeing here is that, again, early on in the session, the euro had gained quite a bit, and that's on some French news, and then Treasury yields rose in the United States, which bolstered up the dollar again. Okay, guys, what else do we have to look at here? The yen. I do want to have a look here at the yen futures. Yen futures down again, 0.45%. So spot yen is also going to be down, guys. See if we have any headlines here. Dollar bulls versus yen given a yield boost. So again, let's take a look at our spot yen. Okay, guys, yen trading at 161.45. That is above prior Bank of Japan intervention levels, just so you know. Okay, and Okay, guys. Um, let's have a look here. Um, yeah, so our Treasury yield futures were down 2.07. That's down almost 2% on the day as yields rise. Guys, sell off in longer dated Treasuries yield leaves yield curve at least inverted since May. This is from Reuters. Benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury yields rose to their highest level since late May on Monday at the start of a holiday shortened week that will likely be marked by low trading volumes. The jump in yields, which move inversely to prices, occurred a day after the first round of voting in France's national elections suggested that Marine Le Pen's national rally scored a smaller win than some polls had expected. The sell-off in the longer end of the curve suggested that the move was not related to concerns about the Federal Reserve's fight against inflation, but reflected concerns about rising budget deficits under a second Trump administration, said Lawrence Gillum, chief fixed income strategist for LPL Financial. Okay, guys, and that's on our U.S. Treasury yields. Let's finish out with some of our other items. Okay, we've talked about crude oil, we've talked about Bitcoin, we've talked about Euro futures. Let's have a look at gold, guys. Gold pretty much flat on the day. Looking at our daily chart here on gold, pretty much no movement. Went down 0.7, that's down 0.03%. Final print at 2341.9, guys. So not a whole lot of news here on gold. I would say from a technical perspective, clearly in an overlapping trading range. So the market is likely waiting to see what the Federal Reserve says before we have a lot more movement on gold. So no movement on gold today. Anything else that is moving, guys? The Nikkei was down pretty big today, down 0.64%. The Nikkei had been up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row. So posting a loss finally in Monday's trading, suggesting a continued trading range here on the Nikkei. Any other interesting items, guys? Soybeans. I think this is pretty interesting. Soybeans coming off 4 straight days down. So soybean futures looking potentially to rally to that 20-period simple moving average. This is a pretty nice candle suggesting a reversal, guys. That's what I'll tell you. That nice hammer candle at the bottom of the range. Reasonable to expect there might be some bounce back here in soybeans. So pretty healthy candle there on soybeans. Russell 2000, guys. Russell 2000 dipping below that 20-period simple moving average, breaking a 2-day winning streak, trading below the low and closing below Friday's low, suggesting some weakness here in the Russell 2000. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. To recap, I've got to do better with crude oil. I missed some key headlines on crude oil, took the wrong trade, busted an account, paid another $38 to reset the account, which I might do 100,000 times. But with that being said, guys, those are some of the mistakes that I made today. I gave you the reasoning why I made the mistake. And then moving forward, guys, I want to make sure that I'm keeping up with the squawk, make sure that I'm keeping up with the news, the financial headlines, so that I'm not taking just dramatically wrong trades, putting some thought in before I actually take a trade. But with that being said, guys, crude oil was, way up there, and I was just gambling that it was going to come back down because it had reached that third standard deviation. But there's a lot of things that are driving crude oil prices higher right now. So with that being said, it really didn't have any pullback today. Okay, with all that being said, guys, Russell 2000, again, down on the day while tech stocks are leading the day. This is a pretty common theme for right now. And then the market, we have an inverted yield curve as I guess there's talk that a Trump administration is going to be more inflationary. I don't believe that. I'm not buying that for a second. But for what it's worth, I mean, I'm not an economist. I'm just a guy making YouTube videos. But my thinking is that's just propaganda. But for what it's, that's just my thoughts on that. I don't think that a Trump administration is going to be more inflationary. I think that's nonsense. But what do I know? Okay, guys. That's it. Oh, another item I want to talk about, yen. The Japanese have not intervened yet, so be on the lookout for the yen futures. If you're trading Forex, be on the lookout for spot yen. I think the Bank of Japan, although I don't know, this is not financial advice, from everything I'm reading, the Bank of Japan does not want to see the yen stick above that 160 level for very long. So I think there's going to be some quantitative tightening in Japan. And so we're likely going to see a pop in the Japanese yen here at some point. That's what I'm expecting. And then in terms of crude oil, guys, this move this move seems a little bit extended to me. I think there's going to be, at least in the overnight session, some amount of pullback in crude oil. While I understand that there are a number of fundamental factors driving crude oil higher, generally speaking, crude oil likes to mean revert. I mean, you can pretty much see it here on the chart. So I expect for Tuesday's trading, I think crude oil is probably going to end up, unchanged or down, coming back down a little bit. Especially during an election year, I don't think the Biden administration really wants crude oil to be too high. When it comes to tech stocks, guys, there's obviously been some amount of, I don't want to say, like, we haven't reached a correction yet, but there's no breadth in this market whatsoever, and they're finally, we're starting to enter into what I would call a trading range towards the top of the range. So I don't know if we're going to make a new all-time high, but it would seem to me that we've probably entered into some more choppy trading, at least during the holiday week. So that's my thinking on that. Probably going to be a fairly complex week. You might want to look at some futures options that are not indexes. You might want to look at the yen trade coming up. You might want to look at something other than the indexes. When it comes to gold, gold doesn't appear to be a good trade right now, guys. And the reason why I say that is because just overlapping candles, small-bodied candles. I would want to wait to see if there's a headline on gold before I touched gold futures. Just my opinion. When it comes to the euro futures, there seems to be quite a bit of headlines, quite a bit of volatility coming out of Europe right now. So there might be some plays there was an over-the-weekend gap, at least I'm seeing on the chart, in the Euro futures. So there seems to be some volatility, some movement in Euro futures right now. That might be something to look at. When it comes to the dollar index, guys, looks like we might be paring back some of the gains that we made this morning, and we had losses on Friday. But I think the dollar index's momentum looks to be slowing down. I mean, we had two black candles, small ones, but two black candles, 2 down days last week. And then, we're still trading above that 20-period simple moving average. So I would tend to think that dollar futures might come off a bit. When it comes to the 30-year yield, guys, these are the yield futures. So I think, look, we ran on this low back that we made on Monday, the 10th of June. The last couple hourly candles here on the yield futures, looks like there's going to be some amount of pairing of these losses. So I'd be looking at the ZB as well, but we have an inverted yield curve right now. And when it comes to Bitcoin, guys, I personally don't like to trade Bitcoin futures that much, but it would appear to me that we're in something of a trading range. And then wheat is something I did want to talk about, guys. I think wheat's set to rally a little bit. And then finally, guys, I want to talk here about copper futures. I think that copper is set in the long run to head higher as industrial demand increases, as there's a greater demand potentially for these electric vehicles that require a lot of copper, as everybody seems to be on using electricity over fossil fuels. I tend to think that copper is going to be something to look at. So I think that copper has been a little bit oversold, and I'm going to be looking to take longs potentially in copper, just depending on the news. Okay, guys, with that being said, that covers it. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And guys, if you want to help me out, use that affiliate link in the description box below. I get a recurring commission every time you reset your account, it's 15% commission, so it really helps make sure that I can keep making these videos, keep funding what I'm doing here. So with that being said, guys, it is Monday, July the 1st, 2024, on a holiday shortened week. Good luck and happy trading.